Hello, people! Don't you just love reading about your favorite topic? Me too! I love reading about psychology, and sometimes I wish I was like Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. Then I would have been able to decode people very easily. Although, there are some psychological tricks that you can use even if you don't have a degree in psychology. Want to know more? Keep watching this video. Before we reveal some effective psychological tricks, please click subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Keep watching the video until the end to help support Bestie. Do you want to know the psychological tricks that can help you make more friends, excel in your career, or improve your interactions with people overall? Here is a trick to start with. Try not to use the phrase "could you" before asking a question or making a request. There is one simple reason behind it. The person might perceive it as a theoretical question. For example, you're at home chilling with your friends while watching Netflix. All of a sudden, you feel thirsty, but you don't want to get up because you might miss a part of the show. So you ask one of your friends, "Hey, could you please get some water from the refrigerator?" Of course, your friend will respond with yes, but this yes might mean yes, theoretically I could. This is why if you rephrase your question like this, "Please grab some water from the refrigerator on your way back," it would sound more like a proper request and you'll avoid any unwanted miscommunication. Miscommunications sure can be uncomfortable. And speaking of things that are uncomfortable, you might come across a scenario every other day or every day where you have to talk to people you don't like. You may not like the other person for various reasons. Maybe they're very talkative, or maybe they're just rude. In scenarios like this, a lot of people tend to stare at the other person's forehead to avoid eye contact. We would suggest that you avoid this as it might intimidate them or make them feel uncomfortable. Instead, try looking at the space between their eyes, just above the nose. This will make it seem as if you were giving them eye contact, thus making the scenario less uncomfortable for the both of you. Additionally, we would suggest not to stare for too long as it might freak the other person out. On the other hand, if you are trying to build a working relationship with someone, you can start by asking them for help. Asking for help more often could possibly leave a good impression in front of your coworkers. If you're struggling with something, you can try asking for guidance. You can also ask them to explain something for you if you are having a hard time understanding. It will appear as if you are honest and not afraid to ask for help. This should improve their overall attitude towards you. At times, you may already know the answer, but if you still ask them, it's only going to do wonders for you. Now, let's say you want to get something done by someone, but the other person isn't as motivated as you are. In this case, here's a trick that might work. You can use reverse psychology on them by telling them that they can't do it. If you tell them this, they might try to prove you wrong. It's normal human nature. A person may be less competitive or not driven enough for a particular task because they don't see it as a challenge. Therefore, if you tell them that they can't do something, then they will start to view it as a challenge. This tactic might not work for someone who is feeling a bit lazy. There's a difference between someone who's less competitive and someone who's feeling lazy. You probably won't be able to motivate a person who's going through a lazy patch in the same way. Instead, try to allocate work to them in a different way. Don't tell them things like, "do this." Say things like, "let's start with this." Avoid giving them a lot of work at once, and give them work in small, organized amounts. How will this work? Usually, people going through a lazy patch would get excited about seeing less work. This way, they'll probably get the job done more quickly. Once it's done, all you can say is "very good" or "awesome," and then add "let's continue" before giving them more work. They're most likely to get the work done even quicker than they did the first time. Why? Because they think that there's less work overall. Now, let's look at this scenario a bit differently. What if you're the one who's feeling lazy? We just discussed how to motivate a person who is feeling a bit down, but how would you motivate yourself? There is a simple trick for that, and you can do it at home every morning. When you're just about to get up, raise your arms and yell "yeah," just like soccer players do when they've scored a goal. This will make you feel more fresh, energetic, and determined for the entire day. Moving on to the next trick. What if you wanted to ask someone something and wanted a positive response from them? What would you do? Simple. Nod while asking the question. Make sure the nod is subtle and not too obvious. This is more likely to get you an affirmative answer when you are asking a question. Just be cautious though, because this technique is often used by waiters and other employees of restaurants to make customers buy more food. Additionally, nodding while having conversations is more likely to make the other person pay more attention to you. Kinda cool, don't you think? Speaking of cool, here's a trick that can help you keep your cool during salary negotiations. When your employer makes you an offer but you want to get more, pretend that you are interested yet slightly disappointed. You're interested because of the job profile, but you're disappointed because you expected a bit more, as far as salary is concerned. This might make the person reconsider the salary that they're offering you. Since we're on the topic of negotiations, here's another trick that might help in times of conflict. If you ever come across a person who tries to get you involved in a scandal or an argument that you just don't want to be a part of, just say something nice to them. This will make them feel uncomfortable because they're unable to drag you into the scandal or argument as they intended to. As the saying goes, kill them with kindness and bury them with a smile. Now, about kindness. Sometimes it is important that we show this trait to ourselves as well. How? With a little self-care. Although because of our fast-paced lives, it's not always easy to carve out time for yourself. But just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not possible. There are many ways you can be kind to yourself. For example, if you did not get enough sleep at night, get up, stand in front of the mirror, and tell yourself, "I have had enough sleep and I feel fresh today." It won't work out immediately, but it might help you to feel more alert eventually. After a few days, you'll realize that you feel fresh, even when you're not getting enough sleep. Although we recommend that you try to get the recommended 7 hours a night. For more on sleeping, check out our other video dedicated to the topic called Sleeping Tips. Now that we've discussed a few tricks about building relationships and self-improvement, here's a trick that can help you give a better impression at work. Our brain tends to remember most of the things that happen early in the morning instead of later in the day, which means most of the things that happen in the afternoon are often forgotten. This is because our concentration span is different during certain times of the day. Now, coming back to the point, you can use this to your advantage. When you are going for an interview, try to set up an interview at that earlier part of the day. This will make sure that the interviewer will remember you for a longer period, which means you have a higher chance of leaving a lasting impression on them. This might make them consider you for the role more than the candidates who are more likely to appear sometime in the afternoon. Of course, you could also try to give your very best in the interview. One does not simply get hired on impression alone. Do you know more psychological tricks that are effective in real life? If yes, then leave as many tricks as you know in the comments down below. Enjoyed this video? Hit like, share, and subscribe to Bestie. Wait, what kind of bestie are we if we don't tell you about our other awesome videos? Go ahead, choose the left or right video and enjoy.